Now, as we hear a lot about these days, the war ended, but it wasn't over. It wasn't over for these guys. And at this point, Arcady is now back in the city, and he's walking around, and he's dealing with people, and you're going to see here he meets up with some other veterans, wounded veterans that are basically on the street. About 1 million military personnel passed through Chechnya in the 10 years after the start of the First War in 1994. That's the population of a large city. 50 divisions of seasoned soldiers who bring their philosophy, the philosophy of war, back to civilian life with them when they return. At the age of 18, they had already killed men who were sometimes older than their fathers, and saw how these grown men died from the bullets unleashed by their hands. There were no voices of authority, and there was no God either. They were ready for anything. There were no women in their world, no children, no old men, no sick people, no cripples. There were just goals, dangerous ones, safe ones, and ones with potential. 3 of them, meaning 3 of the veterans, 3 of them meet and sit in the subway near my metro station every morning. They have 5 medals between them, 6 crutches, 2 artificial limbs, and 1 leg, and a common hatred for the whole world. They've been coming here for a few years now to sing songs, and they are always the same songs in the same order. They sing terribly, but that doesn't bother them. They hate the people they are singing for. They see the world from below, and not just because they only have half their bodies left, but because half of their souls are gone too. They're closer to the spit-drenched asphalt than to people's faces. They no longer have the strength to get up and start a new life on plastic legs, and no longer wish to. These young men don't want to try to keep up with life anymore. All they want is for the war to last forever, and for them to be a part of it. For furnishings, one of them brought a small travel rug, a small cushion to sit on, and a tape player. When 2 of his comrades leave, he stays there on his own. I don't know his name, and it doesn't matter. He is my brother. They all are. Brothers given to me by the war. The whole of Moscow is filled with such brothers. There's at least 1 in each subway. He spoke first. "Where did you fight then, brother?" I told him. Then he started to remember stuff. Where, when, how. He told me about getting his leg torn off when his carrier got ambushed. A shell hit the armor by his right hip. He didn't lose consciousness, and he even saw his ripped off leg jerking and the boot scraping on the rivets. I didn't ask him anything, just listened in silence. And he calmly spoke, and without any hysterics, just discussing life. I don't understand this world, these people. Why are they alive? What for? They were given life at birth and didn't have to pry it away from death. Have a good life, people. But how do they spend it? Do they want to invent a cure for AIDS and build the world's most beautiful bridge or make everyone happy? No. They want to rip everyone off, stash away as much money as they can, and that's it. So many boys died, real kids, and these people here fritter their lives away as ignorantly as a kitten playing with a ball and have no idea why they are alive. Pointless people. A whole world full of pointless people. A lost generation. And it's not we who are the lost generation. It's them. Those who didn't fight. They are. If their deaths could bring back just one of those boys, then I'd kill all of them without hesitation. Every single one of them is my personal enemy. He lights a new cigarette from the stub of his last and pours a fresh shot of vodka. And then he laughs evilly, and his eyes flash with hatred. You can't go on enjoying yourself while 2 hours flight away, people are killing each other. Children are still dying, and there's starvation, and yet those people are willing to pay 700 rubles for a theater ticket. That's 2,000 for the family just to amuse themselves. You can live for 2 months in Chechnya on that money. I must be concussed because I don't understand this. I just can't get my head around it. There's a war going on in their country, and they don't give a damn. So in that case, we shouldn't give a damn about them either. Not one of them should ever die without knowing what war is. I want for them, too, to cry out at night and cry in their sleep, and without waking, to dive under the bed when the New Year's Eve's fireworks are exploding in the yard, and whine there from terror like we did. They are as guilty of our deaths as those who killed us, who sent us to the slaughter. Why weren't they striking in Moscow and blocking the roads when we were being killed in Grozny? Why? Why weren't they screaming and tearing their hair out when they saw on TV how dogs fed off the flesh of their boys? Why was there no revolution, uprising, or civil unrest? How could they send their sons off to this slaughter and then go and have fun, live, drink beer, and earn money while they were dying down there? While jets were flattening the mountains and tearing apart children and women, when wounded Chechen kids rotted in cellars, wrapping the stumps of their limbs in rags, and infection crept across the wounds. They're also guilty of these deaths. We are here to get what's ours, and we are ready to kill. His hatred abates as suddenly as it had welled over. His eyes recede once again behind a film of indifference. Half-truths everywhere. Half sincerity, half friendship. I can't accept that. Here in civilian life, they only have half-truths. The small measure of truth we had in war was a big lie. So many boys died, and I survived. The whole time I used to wonder what for. They were better than I was, but I survived. Surely this is not by pure chance. Maybe I lived so that others remember us. I am a reminder, he says. It's obviously this is psychological damage. And this is someone that is still reeling from the war. And I can tell you, when I came home from my last deployment, I didn't feel like that, but I understand what he's talking about. When I came home from my last deployment and knowing what great sacrifices Americans were making overseas, including my friends. I remember walking around town and just looking at people, and it is difficult to make that transition mentally back to where people care about the stupidest things. And they're complaining about things that are just no human being should ever be given the right to complain about. And as that individual right there was saying, kind of what I say, what are you doing with your life? What are you doing with your life? Mm-hmm. Because people have paid dearly to give you that freedom. So what are you doing with it?